Have you ever been astounded by the lengths some will go to criticize others? Today we're diving into a recent controversy involving Angela Levin, a self-proclaimed royal biographer known for her relentless critique of the Sussexes. Levin recently took to Twitter to post a rather perplexing message. She attempted to draw a strange comparison between Prince Harry's alleged comments about exploiting Princess Diana's memory in poor taste and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, opening a bottle of wine to celebrate her own birthday. This odd juxtaposition quickly ignited a firestorm of criticism online, with many accusing Levin of twisting an innocuous celebration into an opportunity for slander. Detractors were quick to point out the glaring false equivalence in Levin's tweet. They argued that there is no comparison between enjoying a glass of wine on one's birthday and the alleged misuse of a late royal's legacy. Many accused Levin of manufacturing outrage, stating that she had once again demonstrated her clear bias against Meghan by transforming a positive event, the launch of Meghan's wine brand, into a platform for attack. Critics also underscored Levin's double standards. They observed that she maintains a conspicuous silence when members of the royal family she supports engage in public stunts or commercial ventures, yet she seizes every opportunity to belittle the Sussexes. Levin's tweet was widely labelled as petty, mean-spirited, and another desperate reach. Some went as far as suggesting that Levin's persistent fixation on Meghan reveals more about her own character than it does about the Duchess. What was supposed to be a joyous occasion for Meghan has once again been distorted by the same familiar antagonists. But this time, the backlash is suggesting that the public is growing weary of these tactics, and just like that, a simple birthday celebration became a battleground. How often do we see apples compared to oranges and wonder, how could that be? This was the collective reaction when Levin's controversial tweet hit the digital airwaves. Levin's attempt to equate Prince Harry's alleged comments about using his late mother's memory in a manner deemed inappropriate with Meghan's act of casually opening a bottle of wine on her own birthday left many bewildered. The comparison was not just unkind, it was downright absurd. Critics were quick to point out the glaring false equivalence. The act of exploiting a late royal's legacy is a grave matter that touches on issues of respect, dignity, and the sensitive handling of a beloved public figure's memory. On the other hand, enjoying a bottle of wine on one's birthday is a commonplace, harmless celebration that millions around the world partake in. The two scenarios are so vastly different in gravity and context that any attempt to equate them comes across as a desperate reach. Moreover, it's not just about the disparity in the acts themselves, it's about the intent behind them. Levin's tweet was seen as a clear attempt to manufacture outrage and smear Meghan's character by twisting a positive moment, the launch of her wine brand, into a negative narrative. This isn't just a question of comparing apples to oranges. It's more akin to comparing a mountain to a molehill. The act of enjoying wine on a birthday is a personal celebration, while exploiting a late royal's legacy is a public matter that can impact the legacy of an entire institution. In the end, the false equivalence only served to spotlight Levin's bias and her willingness to twist reality to fit her narrative. And the public, it seems, is growing tired of it. It seems like a stretch, doesn't it? This sentiment echoed across social media platforms as people recognized the false equivalence for what it was, a thinly veiled attempt to stoke controversy where there was none. Isn't it fascinating when people's biases are laid bare for all to see? As we delve deeper into the controversy surrounding Angela Levin's tweet, a startling pattern begins to emerge. Many social media users have pointed out a glaring omission in Levin's critiques, the silence on actions of other royal family members. This, dear listeners, is the heart of the issue, the double standards. Levin, who never shies away from painting the Sussexes in a negative light, seems to be conveniently turning a blind eye when it comes to the rest of the royal family. When they engage in public stunts or commercial ventures, there's a noticeable absence of criticism from Levin. Is it not strange that the same person who was quick to twist Meghan's harmless birthday celebration into a smear remains silent when similar actions are taken by others? This selective outrage has not gone unnoticed. Social media users have been quick to call out this discrepancy, highlighting the unfair treatment that the Sussexes receive. The selective silence, as some have suggested, is a clear indication of bias. Some have even gone as far as to say that Levin's perpetual criticism of Meghan and Harry is not just about them, it's about her. It's about her need to perpetuate a narrative that fits her own personal agenda. And this narrative, unfortunately, is one that seeks to undermine the Sussexes at every turn. The double standards are clear, and they're not just limited to Levin. This is a symptom of a larger issue, a societal bias that we all need to address. It's easy to point fingers and criticize, but it's much harder to turn that same scrutiny inward and examine our own prejudices. As we continue to navigate through the complexities of this issue, one thing remains clear: the Sussexes are consistently held to a different standard. And that's not just unfair, it's downright unjust. One rule for them, another for the others. Does that seem fair? Ever notice how the tide can turn when the majority voice their opinions? The backlash against Levin's tweet arrived promptly and with force. Social media platforms buzzed with responses as users rallied to express their dismay at what they deemed yet another unjust attack on the Duchess of Sussex. Many took to their keyboards to denounce Levin's pettiness, calling out her apparent obsession with Meghan and the unending stream of criticism that seemed to have little basis in fact. Petty, mean-spirited, and another desperate reach were just a few of the labels attached to Levin's controversial tweet, starkly highlighting the public's growing frustration with her relentless narrative. What was perhaps most striking was the intensity of the reaction against Levin's false equivalence. Users were quick to highlight the absurdity of comparing the Duchess's innocent celebration to the alleged exploitation of a late royal's memory, with many pointing out that the two situations bore no resemblance to each other. But the backlash didn't stop there. Levin was also taken to task for her consistent double standards. Critics noted her silence when members of the royal family she supports indulge in commercial ventures or public stunts, yet her readiness to condemn the Sussexes at every turn. This perceived hypocrisy only added fuel to the fire of public sentiment against her. The backlash against Levin's tweet also served as an eye-opening moment for many. Some suggested that Levin's persistent criticism of Meghan actually revealed more about Levin herself than about the Duchess. Perhaps the real story here was not Meghan's actions, but Levin's seemingly unending bias against her. It seems the tables have turned, and the public is no longer buying into it. This may just be a turning point in the public's perception of Levin's narrative. The backlash to her tweet shows a growing shift in sentiment, with many now questioning the validity of her criticism and the motives behind it. The tide is turning, and it seems the public is no longer willing to accept baseless accusations without question. So, what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? We've taken a deep dive into a controversial tweet, examined the false equivalence presented, highlighted the double standards at play, and looked at the backlash that ensued. But what does this tell us about the larger narrative? It seems that this incident is yet another chapter in a long-running saga, where the Sussexes are often the subject of relentless scrutiny and criticism. The trivialization of Meghan's birthday celebration and the attempt to draw a parallel with exploiting a late royal's memory is a stark example of this. These incidents are not just about one royal biographer or one controversial tweet. They are indicative of a broader pattern where the Sussexes' actions are often interpreted with a negative bias, while other members of the royal family are given a pass for similar behaviour. This double standard not only undermines the credibility of those who perpetuate it, but also fuels an unhealthy narrative of division and conflict. Moreover, it raises questions about the role of social media and how it can be used as a tool to amplify such bias and negativity. The instant and widespread backlash to Levin's tweet shows that people are more discerning than ever and can see through attempts to manufacture outrage. But perhaps most importantly, it shines a light on the need for a more balanced and fair approach to covering the Sussexes and the royal family. After all, public figures have a responsibility to ensure their commentary is based on facts, not personal bias or sensationalism. In the end, it's not just about protecting Harry and Meghan, but about fostering a discourse that is respectful, fair, and grounded in reality. Thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts below. Is this yet another example of unnecessary Sussex bashing? And don't forget to subscribe for more updates.